to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the final factory production sample of Rydoor from Armies of Ashmore, as well as the Brute Scale Weapons Pack and the Infantry Head Pack. So yeah, I got a surprise package in the mail from my friend Matthew Rodriguez, owner of Ideas for Mars and creator of the Defenders of Eden, the Armies of Ashmore. And this is a final production sample. So like this is it. Like this is like a full-fledged. It's not a, it's not a prototype. It's not a pre-production sample. This is final sample. So these things are going to be shipping soon if this is the final sample. This figure is not mine. I don't own it. He's just letting me borrow it to get an early look, to get a video, and just to kind of experience the figures early. So I'm not going to necessarily push everything to its absolute limits, but it's nice. I will tell you that. It moves really well. It's a big, chunky figure. It has that Four Horsemen quality because it was made, the production was run by Four Horsemen. Four Horsemen sculpted it and prototyped it and all that stuff. So like this feels super premium. The paint apps, the sculpture, everything about it just feels amazing, feels awesome. So without further ado, let's get into this review. Zooming in here for a close-up of Rydoor, who I like to also call Tommy. This is a fully painted figure, right? Like this has the green paint throughout, and then you have that kind of like bluish wash in there that you can really see all of the sculptural details with that wash. The eyes have a ton of detail, right? Like even on the flesh under the eyes, there's some blues, giving it a little bit of a darker tone there. The eye is painted really nicely. They look really good. You have the horns painted in a brown, and they match the tips of the edges up top here. And then you have the armor. Like the armor has this nice matte finish to it, which is very much like very similar to Legions in that way, where you have a lot of different finishes. So for example, this blue here, right, like nicely sculpted, has a wash, and then also has some like highlights on the top, on the upper edges of those like scales or whatever. It's got highlights on there. And then that whole thing is matte finish. And then you have a metallic gold. And then you have a shiny blue here. Like if you can kind of see these little details, like this guy, this piece, those have a glossy kind of finish to them. So you have like all these different finishes. You have the fur piece down here. Again, like just fully painted. It feels very much the same kind of like paint sculpt quality that we're used to with Mythic Legions, just in a totally different style, right? This is a little bit more on the slightly more like cartoony style, right? Like these bright colors and but it's I mean, for me, these are getting mixed right in with my Legions. Like they're totally going with them. I know some people can't do that, but like especially with the Masters of the Universe tributes that they do, these are going to go right in. I mean, just look at this guy. He's awesome. As far as separate pieces, we have a shoulder piece that's separate that pegs into the back. And then this chest piece here has two pegs. There's one here and one on the other side. And then those just peg off, and then you can totally remove it. So if you want to have, the bare upper body and just have him like bare chested, you can absolutely do that. These pieces here are actually part of the sculpture of the arms, and these pieces are part of the sculpture of the legs. So really the main thing that's removable are the chest piece and the shoulder armor. So that's pretty cool that you can kind of get a little customizing going on here. The tail, it came in the box separate, and that plugs in, and then it's got like a 2-part tail. And I just got to reiterate like how nice the plastic feels, chunky, dense. It has that same feel as Mythic Legions do. So a really nice feeling figure. Okay, zooming out, you can get an overall look at the shape of the figure, which stands about 9¼ to 9½ inches to the top of the horns. For comparison, starting off with a couple similarly sized green guys, so you can see both the scale and the color. As you can see, the Ogre on the left, that's the Ogre Builder 2 from Four Horsemen Studios, with the Cyclops head on there. As you can see, that's pretty much the same size. Like his shoulders on the Ogre come slightly higher than the shoulders on Rydoor. So, just like slightly taller there. Of course, the dragon's going to be a little bit bigger because that's even larger than a typical ogre scale figure. But that on the right is Scourge with some Mythic Legions parts to make him more of a Mythic Legions dragon. And it has a weapon from Axie Toys and a cape from Max Bird. And then here it is with two of the Axie Toys dinos, the T-Rex on the left and then the standard dino body on the right. I forget what type of dinosaur that is. But you can see here how it's sort of right in between these two. Height-wise, it's taller than both, but in terms of like girth and bulk, it doesn't even come close to the heft of the T-Rex, but it's much, much larger than the standard Axie Toys dino body. And then just one more sort of on-theme comparison. On the left, we have Lizard Man Komo of the Isles from Savage Crucible. And on the right, we have another Triceratops, the Triceraton Zog from the NECA Mirage Turtles line. Next up, here's how it scales with the NECA Warduke on the left and a standard 1.0 Mythic Legions figure Poxus on the right. Mezco 112 Collective Holiday Gomez, 'Tis the Season on the left, and on the right we have the Odious figure from Unparalleled Universe. Next up, two D13 Toys Biblical Adventures figures. On the left is the Holiday Angel, and on the right is the Amazon Demon. Some more independent toy lines. On the left is the Valaverse Praetorian, and on the right is Tiberius from Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. A couple mass production figures, Hasbro Black Series C-3PO on the left, and Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Lady J on the right. And finally, of course, everybody's favorite, NECA Alf. Okay, getting into the accessories, starting off with the hands. So on the figure here, I have the open gesturing hands, and these have horizontal hinges. Of course, he's got a pair of gripping hands with vertical hinges, and as you can see, the nails are nicely painted. They even have a little bit of sculpt detail in there, and then there's some other paint details over on this side with some little armor bits and again, that like metallic gold and then that glossy blue. And then he does have a pair of closed fists with horizontal hinges. He does come with a little headgear, sort of like an armored mask right here that actually just kind of tension fits right on there. Next up, he's got a shield that is painted just as nicely as the rest of the figure. The black's getting a little scuffed up because of that very, very flat black finish. But the paint details are great. I mean, just look at the details on those horns, and you've got all of these sharp lines here with the golds. And of course, you've got that glossy blue. So see, this here is that glossy blue, and then this is a flat blue. So a lot of different kind of finishes to give it some depth. The shield does have this type of handle here where it just sort of pegs on, which I like because it gives you the opportunity to pose it in whatever direction you want to. Then you have the matching axe. Again, same kind of paintwork here with the flat black, metallic golds, bone color here, wooden handle, and this handle is removable, so you can kind of mess around with that a little bit. He also sent me over this heads pack to take a look at, and we have 3 additional heads, 3 different dinosaurs. We got this one here, and it's got a removable helmet. It does have a peg hole, so you have to kind of realize that when you're messing around with the helmet there. And then we got this one, sort of a Brontosaurus type dino here. There's a lot of range in that neck up top there. And then this helmet is also removable. You can see he's got those solid white eyes there. And then there's another articulation point at that point of the neck. This is not removable, nor is this piece here. That's part of the sculpt. But yeah, good look at that one. And then finally, which I think is probably my favorite one because it's got a lift up visor like that, which is also removable. And then this helmet is also removable. So a lot of fun different options in that heads pack to mess around and customize and army build out your infantry. And then shout out to Eric Miller who did the paint masters on these. So this is the Brute Weapons pack and an additional accessory set that they have that Matt also sent to me. And we'll start off with the shield that is just amazing. It's kind of like mind-blowing that the factory is able to reproduce this. I mean, it's so metallic and rugged, and it's like got some like rusty kind of stuff going on and glossy. Again, a lot of different finishes going on that that give it depth and stuff, and it's got that that same handle on the back there. And then over here we have a mace, and the mace has, like the other one, it's got the removable handle. And so you got that bone detail, the metallics, different metallics in the wooden handle. And then we do have the axe also painted up in this kind of Eric Miller theme over here. You know, it's much more grittier and real world kind of color scheme than the rest of it, which is kind of neat. So it adds a little bit of that to the line. But yeah, so there's the axe. And then finally, it's got this double shield here, which actually comes apart. So that's a pretty neat play feature right there. And it's got the two handles. Those are the same kind of handles as the other shield. So he can be carrying one big shield or carrying two shields, or maybe have the one big shield attached to his back or something. Because this does have a piece right there where you can attach stuff to him like that. Okay, for articulation, I'm going to start by kind of popping the figure apart so that you can kind of see how easy it is. The heads just have a nice pop to them. You can't really hear it, but it's a nice pop, and it's very easy to remove and put on. And then these are pegged into the back over here. These are the shoulder pauldrons. Very similar to Mythic Legions in the way that those are pegged in. Here's the peg for this piece right there. Very simple. And this one here. And then that just slides right up. So you kind of get the body down to sort of this look right here. And get the head back on there. And right, so there he is sort of with the armor off, and then I'll do the articulation like this. So obviously this is a big chunky figure, and the chunkiness is going to limit things a bit, but for a figure that's this big, I feel like it moves really well. Like, this figure does some pretty cool things. So the bottom of the neck is a ball joint, and there's a pretty good amount of range in that thing. Like, it's a double barbell down in there. So you can kind of go up and down quite a bit. And then the head is also on a double barbell. So, you can go from here to here. Like, that's, for a big chunky figure like this, that's pretty solid. And of course, he can go side to side like this. And just, yeah, a lot of good range all up in that head and that neck. The shoulders on a hinge comes up about this far. And back down to here. Of course, it can twist all the way around. There is a bicep twist over here. Pretty limited in terms of the range at the elbows. You're not going to really even get it to 90 degrees. So not a ton of range in the elbows in terms of coming all the way up, but can do that much range in the elbows. And then there's also a twist above that elbow. The chest area is where I feel like I don't want to push it because it's a bit tight. So I feel like I could probably get more range. And when I get one in hand that's my own to keep, that I don't mind if I accidentally break it, then I will fully pop it apart and really figure out the full range of it. But it's got a ball joint at the upper torso here, and then it's got a ball joint at the waist. So crouching forward, it can go this far. Going back, it can go this far. And it can go side to side, and it can twist as well. So, there's good movement there. It's a little stiff. I don't want to push it too far, but I think it can go further than what I'm showing. If you look closely, you'll see that it does have a ball jointed hip, and there is a thigh swivel at the top there. And for range, it can kick forward about that much, and then it can kick back a decent amount. It can obviously twist, like I said. It can go out into the splits somewhat. Pretty squeaky over there. You can hear that. There's a single jointed knee that kicks back about this far. So pretty limited there in the knee. And then you have a twist below the knee as well. There's no twist above the ankle, but you do have an ankle rocker. And then you have a hinge up and down. And then finally, the tail is on a ball joint in the back here. And the tail can come up this far, down that far, and then you have another ball joint on the tail over here. So you can kind of have the tail kicking off to the side this way, back and forth. You can have it all the way down, or you can have it up. So pretty good articulation for a big chunky boy. Okay, wrapping this up, I thought I would just throw one of those alternate heads on here. I do think this is my favorite of the alternate heads. It's a pretty sweet look right here. I cannot wait to get the rest of the wave. I have my Kickstarter order. I did order a couple of the blanks too, so I'm going to hopefully be painting up some of these as well. But this figure rocks. It really does feel like it has that high quality consistency that Four Horsemen are known for in terms of their production, but it's coupled with Matthew's amazing imagination and his own creations here with the Armies of Ashmore. Really fantastic stuff. Thanks again, Matt, for sending these over. I very much appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may the Force be with you.